Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study, the Acts of the Apostles. We're in Acts chapter 18. Paul is in the Greek city of Corinth. We're told he has a long ministry there. 18 months he has stayed. The church has grown. A vital church has been established. And then we are told of a time, somewhere in that 18-month period, when Paul is brought before the Roman proconsul, who is the Roman administrative official in charge of this entire province of Achaia, or southern Greece. Let me read that account to you. It starts in verse 12 of chapter 18. Now, while Gallio was proconsul of Achaia, the Jews made a united attack on Paul, and they brought him into court. This man, they charged, is persuading the people to worship God in ways that are contrary to the law. Now, this is an important accusation. Paul has faced accusations before, charges. He's been brought before local officials. We saw that, of course, in Philippi when he spent the night in jail. We saw it in Thessalonica. He's had this before, but normally it's always been a local thing. He's brought before the local magistrates. So their decisions would simply be local affairs. But now, some make an accusation before the Roman proconsul, which is similar to a Roman governor. This becomes serious. This is a matter of Roman policy, empire-wide policy. For you see, other proconsuls, other governors will take what Gallio does as precedent. So how this ruling comes out is important for the progress of Christianity. And notice what Paul is charged with. They say they charged him with persuading people to worship God in ways contrary to the law. Now, in the Roman Empire of this time, you could worship as you wished as long as it was a recognized legal religion. They are accusing Paul of preaching a message that is an illegal religion, not allowed by the Roman authorities. So how Gallio rules is very, very important. So now Paul is brought before the Roman proconsul. The charge is made. He's preaching illegal religion to the people. Paul is about to speak. He's about to make his defense. But Gallio says to the Jews, now, if you were making a complaint about some misdemeanor or some serious crime, it would be responsible for me to listen to you. But since it involves questions about words and names and your own law, settle the matter for yourselves. I will not be a judge of such things. Now recognize what Gallio is ruling. He is saying, I see Paul's presentation as simply a Jewish matter. He sees Christianity. Of course, he wouldn't define it as Christianity. He would simply see it as a message Paul is preaching. But he sees this message as being part of Judaism. He sees it as a denomination of Judaism and therefore a legal religion. You see, the Jewish faith is allowed to be practiced throughout the Roman Empire. It is legal. And so Gallio rules that Christianity, in his mind, is simply a variant of Judaism and therefore a legal religion. This becomes the official Roman policy for some time, that Christianity is a legal religion. It is a variant of Jewish faith. Now, this Roman precedent will not change for a couple of more decades until the time of Emperor Nero, but that's sometime in the future. But right now, the Roman administration, through their Roman proconsul Gallio, has ruled Christianity as a legal religion, allowed to practice freely throughout the Roman Empire. So Paul's ministry in Corinth comes to an end shortly after this ruling, and he will use this later to prove that what he is doing is perfectly legal in the Roman Empire. There's something else about this ruling. Because of the mention of Gallio, we are able to date Paul's ministry in Corinth. We know from Roman sources when Gallio was proconsul of Achaia, or southern Greece. So therefore we know that Paul was in Corinth during the years AD 50 to AD 52. He probably came sometime in the year AD 50 and probably left sometime in the year AD 52. Gives us a good date. We're about 22 years into Christian history now. You remember Jesus was crucified and the resurrection was about AD 30. So now we're up to about the year AD 52. Okay, after the ruling, or shortly after it, Paul makes ready to leave Corinth. It says he had stayed for some time there, but then he left the brothers and he sailed for Syria. Now, when it says he sailed for Syria, he's going back to his home church, which is Antioch in Syria. But he's accompanied by Priscilla and Aquila. They have been his partners, of course, in the Corinthian mission, and they are now going with him. They set sail. They sail across the Aegean Sea, and they land at Ephesus, where Paul goes into the synagogue, talks with the Jews. He had one brief visit. Now, he wants to do ministry in Ephesus, but not right now. But he's laying the foundation for it to come. The Jews, they say, well, come and spend more time with us. He says, I can't do it now, but I will come back if it is God's will. So he sets sail from Ephesus, and he goes to Caesarea, which is on the Syrian coast, you recall. And then he goes up and greets the church at Antioch. So this ends the third missionary journey. He's back in Antioch of Syria. It is the second journey. So the second missionary journey is complete, and Paul begins to make preparations for the third journey, which will center on that city of Ephesus, which he had visited briefly on his way back to Antioch. We're about the year AD 52, maybe AD 53 by the time he gets ready to leave Antioch again and start the third journey. But we'll begin to look at that in our next session together. You have a great day. I'll see you next time in our 5-minute Bible study in the Acts of the Apostles.